Okay, hi. Today we're going to continue with the rules of exponents. This document is in your assignments button. So what you need to do is copy these exercises. This one, this one, this one. I'm adding this one too. And then we're going to move on to the negative exponent. And then we're going to do this exercise, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So it's a total of 8 exercises. Today is the zero exponent rule. Let me zoom in a little bit. Now, the advantage of this video is that you can pause or stop it as you do the exercises, okay? This is the guided practice. Today, you just have to tune in the work that you did when you were following this video, okay? And tomorrow, you will do your independent practice. Okay. After we finish with this video, we'll need to set up Google Meets to see if you want to meet and have a video chat. We can do that later in the week. All right. Okay. So let's begin with the zero exponent rule. Zero exponent rule. Anything elevated to the power of 0, like a to the power of 0, is always going to give you 1. Anything elevated to the power of 0 is 1. So it says any non-zero number with an exponent of 0 is always equivalent to 1 all the time. Let me zoom in a little bit. All right. So over here says y. Let's explore. Now remember that the base, it's the same. In this case, our base is the number 8. Okay. Now, remember the law of division. When you divide, what do? When you divide, you subtract the exponents. So, if 8 is the same base and you subtract the exponents, you would have 2 minus 2. And this will give you 8 to the power of, what is 2 minus 2? 0. And this gives you 1. Okay. Now, look at this example right here. When you have this exponent of 0, it's like subtracting the same number and you get a 0. If this is the same as this one over here, then these two divide out, but they become a 1, okay? It's like having 4 over 4, everything becomes a 1. So, I forgot to tell you also, I'm going to use extra examples, so just like this one. So, what if I write a to the power of 3 over a to the power of 3? It's the same term, okay? It's the a to the power of 3, a to the power of 3. It becomes a 1. So again, if we prove it by applying the laws of exponents, when you divide, you subtract the exponents. 3 minus 3, it gives you a to the power of 0. So again, all of this equals 1. So this is the explanation. That's why it says right here, y. Okay? So look at this example right here. You see these parentheses? Everything that is inside the parentheses is like a whole unit. It's like a whole item. Okay? So everything that is inside the parentheses, everything in here is elevated to the power of 0. So the answer is 1. Okay? There's no other factor. It's just everything here is elevated to the power of 0. So the answer is 1. Look at this one. Here, what is elevated to the power of 0? Only the x. Let me zoom in a little bit more and then focus. Because I want you to focus on this one. Okay. Alright. So, you see how this one is separated and then by a plus sign right here. And then you have a coefficient 8. Do we have any parentheses here? No, we don't. So the only thing that is elevated to the power of 0 is the x. Okay, so the 8 is going to stay like that. The 8 is not elevated to the power of 0. We don't have a parenthesis. Okay, so we're going to treat it as a separate entity, like a separate item. So I'm going to start simplifying. So this one does not have a power of 0, so I'm going to leave it like that. But the only one that has a power of 0 is the x. So this x to the power of 0, it becomes a 1. So it's like having 8 times 1 right here. And then we follow by this, plus 5. So what is 8 times 1? 8 plus 5. This gives you 8 plus 5 is 13. And that's the answer. Okay. So the exercises like these is going to ask you to simplify. We have another example over here. I want you to write down this example. This one was not included in the paper that I uploaded. So you can pause the video and copy it. So again, we have another parenthesis. Everything here inside the parentheses is elevated to the power of 0. So this exponent is affecting everything that is inside the parentheses. So if you're trying to simplify this answer and this one, the answer is 1. Okay? All right. So these are the guided examples. This is what you have to turn in. That way I know that you attended the class. Okay? Attend. Okay? This will be my proof that you attended the class. Okay? All right. This is me. I'm happy that you're here watching the video. All right. The other rule is the negative exponent. Okay. So on this one, any letter with a negative exponent, notice how it has a power of negative n. It's equal to the reciprocal, to the inverse of that number. So in order, you don't want to have negative exponents. That's the first law. You don't want a negative exponent. So what do you do to make it positive? You send all of this to the bottom. But if you're sending it to the bottom and you have nothing over here, it means that you divide by 1. Okay, over here you see the explanation. For any non-zero number a, this is the base, raised to a negative exponent, you place the power in the denominator to rewrite the power with the positive exponent. But sometimes it's going to happen the other way around. Okay, you're going to see the examples. So why? Let's see what happens here. Again, we have a division, same base. When we divide, what do? Subtract the exponents. So this is like having b to the power of 2 minus 5 is negative 3. But we don't want this negative exponent. What do? We send this whole thing, we send it to the bottom as a denominator. It says so right here. We send it to the bottom. When we send it to the bottom, this is no longer negative. Now it becomes positive 3. So what do we do here? What do we write on the top? We have to write a 1. Remember, the 1 is the neutral number. It completes all equations and all expressions. Okay? Now, let's see, why does this happen? Look at this expression right here. It's like having, what is b squared? B squared is like having b times b, right? B times b is b squared. And divided by what? B to the power of 5. B to the power of 5 means that you're multiplying b by itself 5 times. B times b times b times b times b. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Now, if you want to simplify, what do? You cross out this one with this one with this one, and what are you left with? 3b's. And what happens over here on the top? You're left with a 1. So put the 1 right here, and you have 1, 2, 3, b to the power of 3. This is the explanation why. Okay? So this answer is the same as this. Alright? Okay, let's look at this example. 2 to the power of negative 3. So we leave the 2, but we don't want the negative exponent. What do we say we do? We send this whole thing, we send it to the bottom. So it's going to be 2 to the power of 3. This one is no longer negative, it's going to be positive. And what do we write over here? Do we leave nothing? No, of course not. We put a 1. And this is your answer. That's it. This is what you report. Okay, we're just applying laws of exponents. On this one, look at this one. We have negative 3. Notice the parentheses. Okay, so everything inside the parentheses is elevated to the power of negative 3. What do we do? Again, the whole thing is the negative 3, send it to the bottom. Negative 3. We can still leave the parentheses because it's a negative number. But the exponent is not going to be negative anymore. Once you send it to the bottom, now this exponent is going to become positive 3. What do we write over here? A 1 because there was nothing over here. So this is our answer. Now, this is what happens when you send them to the denominator. But look at this example. Again, you can pause the video, copy this example. This one is a little bit more complicated. We have x to the power of negative 2, y to the power of 3, all of that divided by y to the power of negative 4. Now we said we don't want negative exponents. We already know what to do with this one. We're going to send this one to the bottom. And what is on the top? Remember, this is your division sign. So let's put the division sign. What is on the top? The y to the power of 3. This one is positive. We don't need to move this one. This one stays on the top. Y to the power of 3. But we don't want this negative guy. What do we do with it? We send it to the bottom. Over here. X to the power of positive 2. Now it's not a negative anymore. Now it's positive. But look at this guy over here. Let me use the yellow. Look at this one over here. This one is on the bottom as a denominator. It has a negative exponent. We don't want negative exponents. That's something that you have to keep in mind. But it's in the bottom. So what do? The opposite. This one was on the top, we send it to the bottom. This one is in the bottom. Now this one we're going to send it to the top. And now you're going to have y to the power of what? 4. Positive 4. It's no longer negative. Now it's positive. So now that we have this, now we can continue simplifying. Guys, these lessons are just going to keep accumulating on the scales. You already know what to do. I'm going to cover this part. You have y to the power of 4 times y to the power of 3. When you multiply, what do? We add the exponents. 4 plus 3, 7. And there's no other x, so this one just stays like that. And this is your answer. Okay? Now, as the skills, as the laws, as we cover more laws, you're going to use them, the ones that you covered before. So we're going to be doing exercises about these. Okay, so just right now, turn in your guided exercises. Remember, I need to see that you attended the class. Bye.